Hey everyone! Well, it's finally here. The ProStructures CONNECT Edition has finally dropped, and it's taken me a little while to get my APC config up and going for it, but I've got it all ready to go. And this is a bit of a video showing you just a brief introduction of where to find stuff and how to go about just the basic functions of the software and why I did what I did. Alright, let's get into it. Once you install your ProStructures Connect, you'll see that it puts two desktop icons here, ProStructures CONNECT Edition, as well as ProStructures MicroStation CONNECT Edition. That is the raw MicroStation, a full copy of it, if you don't want ProStructures tools coming into it. It also has two other icons, which will be the high security. I just drag and drop those into the recycle bin, which is why they're not on my desktop now. Now, if you would like, you could take this opportunity to drag the icon down here and pin it to your taskbar, and you'll end up with it down here like mine is. Okay, and it just means it sits there all the time and you don't clutter up your desktop. It's entirely up to you what you do. So let's fire it off. You can see it's version number 74, and we come to this screen here. Now I'm going to quickly take the opportunity to let you know that the reason that this work sessions screen has come up is because I already have an existing work set. You by default will go to the welcome page when you first install the product. This is what the welcome page looks like. It will generally populate a lot more through the middle as well with the training modules that are available to you. So I'll just quickly run through the welcome page. Down on the left here, there's some really good informative little videos. I'd encourage you to watch those. Through the middle section here will be your learning with videos that will pop up, and down the bottom that will take you through to your e-learning account, and down the right is the old RSS feed. If we select the button here to the right, we can go back to our work sessions. Up the top here is our workspace. Our workspace APC, if you have APC installed. If you don't, there'll be Australia or New Zealand to navigate to. But we're all about APC today. Okay, and to the right there, our work set. You can add different work sets, but it will happily work to example APC. A little bit later, once we get on our wheels, I fully intend to go through these in a separate video about what they do, how they work, and why they are in here now. But just for now, leave your installation alone. Just set it to APC and example APC. Underneath our work set, we can see the recent files that we've opened, and this will build up and build up and build up. Just one thing to note, that if you accidentally change your workspace or work set and then you try to reopen the model, what's going to happen is you're going to get an error message that comes up, and it will prompt you to either change the work set or keep it the same. So it's very intuitive. It prompts you for what you need to do. From there we can either browse for existing files and work sets, or we can create new files. So like the previous version, when we create a new one, we're going to need a seed file. Now just ignore my location where everything is at the moment because this is a test version. But like the previous version, you're going to be pointed to the incorrect location by default. We're going to have to go and find the Australian localization or the APC localization and point it to the correct seed out of the box, because we can't do that from the default installation. So what I want you to go searching for, it will be Program Data, Bentley, it will be CONNECT Edition, which we go into there, Configuration. Now we've got Workspaces as an organization, so we'll go into the Workspaces, which is the APC. This is where the APC lives, so double click on that. So these are your workspaces are like localizations, standards, and work sets. So work sets and seeds. And within here, the AU metric 3D is the one we're after. Now that will default to that all the time now, just like Select Series 8 used to. Don't forget to save it in the location that you want to save it as. In this instance, I'm just going to call this like my CONNECT Edition model, just for fun. And it will open straight up, and off we go. And from then on, it will be in the recent files selection list. Okay, so let's have a gander at the user interface. We'll kick off with the workflow. The workflow, we have steel, concrete, drawing, modeling, visualization, and APC down the bottom. Alright, so if you want to do 2D drawing, you'll go to 2D drawing, 3D modeling's in there. APC config, if you own it, will be here. Alright, and the ribbons will reflect everything that I've put into the APC. You'll notice that we have tabs across the top here. If we go to File, that takes us to the Backstage. Within the Backstage here, we can browse for our models and bits and pieces, as well as we have a menu down the left hand side here, Save, Save As, etc. This is the stuff that used to be under File. Okay, we have tools in here where we can compress and bits and pieces. That's about all our license managers there. Within our settings here, we have user settings, so things like our AccuDraw, function keys, keyboard shortcuts, the toolboxes is there, as well as ProStructures options and bits and pieces down the bottom. It will be handy for you to know that toolboxes is just here as well, although we don't have anywhere near as much available to us anymore in toolboxes because we work with the ribbons and pop-ups, which I'll explain to you in a minute. Other settings that we have available are the system settings for the PC, as well as your file, which has your line styles and stuff, but your configuration is probably the most important one you'll want to know, and this is where you can set your license up. Import, export, so your import here will give you a list of common files, exchange files, as well as ProStructure files, has the ISM stuff and so forth in it. So come and have a fossick through here and see what it'll do. Basically, they've kind of dumbed it down a little bit and pushed a lot of stuff into the back stage here. Publish iModel is here as well, which is handy for you to know. Okie dokes, let's get back into the modeling stage. Before I start getting into the ribbons and bits and pieces here, I'll just head back into the backstage briefly, and I just want to show you, if you want to get out of the previous model, hit close. That will take you back to here and to our work sessions, and we can actually choose our workspace or a new model or something like that. Okay, so close gets you out, file close gets you out. Let's discuss the tabs now. So I've broken it into workflow again, like I did for previous versions, to try and make things nice and easy for you. You have your selection, so element selection and so forth, and the element selection tools with the little flyouts and bits and pieces are first. Your Explorer is here, and that's your Project Explorer in SS8. It works a little bit differently now for Connect. It actually has more functionality, so just go and have a bit of a play with it. Don't get too sort of overawed by it. Go and have a look at a couple of these tabs and see what it will do. It's a little bit like Christmas, okay? There's nothing in here at the moment because my model is empty. Alright, but get used to working in here. Okay, so this used to be a Project Explorer. It's just called Explorer now. Moving along, we have our attach tools. So we have our references, that's where the references live, raster for your PDFs and bits and pieces, point clouds, and whatever a reality mesh is. Your models, which is your sheet drawings, your models live in there. Level display and your level manager. So level display can be pinned again, like it could be last year. Level manager, object properties, okay, as well as more, like you see your keyins live here, etc. Okay, all the stuff that used to be on the primary toolbar back in SS8 live in here. Okay, that's where you find it. It will be there all the time because I've got it geared, I've got it structured that way. Alrighty. Let's get into the actual ProSteel tools. Modeling tools, so add a work frame, add shapes to it, plates, bolt things, user shapes, create a user shape, and add part list properties to something. Okay. From modeling, we get into connections then. So you'll see that our connections I've got split up into base plates, shear plates, end plates, etc. This I couldn't fit it all in, so then stuff that's missing is in the connection center. So go and find it in the connection center. The connection center has all the connections available. Auxiliary macros like stairs and stuff, don't forget they've got a fly out beside them, as well as the first of the APC tools. Purlins, the purlin drill tool, all the connections including fly braces under here. Okay, and the panel for roof sheeting. Alright, modify, drill, okay, all of this stuff is here in a constant workflow. Alright, add a manual link for detailing later. Regenerate is ProSteel Regen, and display all turns all the classes on. Aeroplane mode is there with the flyout. Object view centered, object ACS centered. Isolate here is ProSteel Isolate, but it kind of works kind of weird. I don't use it, but you're welcome to. It does weird things with the views, and I don't like it. I prefer to use this hide accept. It's a little bit slower. They're going to fix that up this year, but Isolate's quicker, but I prefer hide. From there we go into classification. You can see the display tools are here again. That is because I think it's important that we be able to turn stuff on and off as we go. Display tools or display classes, auto display classes and clear display classes. The APC stuff signifies my stuff. Alright, area, auto area, clear area. I've thrown in part families and process status. Even though I don't use them, I've thrown them in there in the workflow as well. Into positioning, so grouping, add, remove, etc., etc. Just be really careful within here that dissolve a group is not in that list. This is the default Pro Structures one. If you want to dissolve a group, you're going to have to come in here and click on dissolve group. Okay, there's a little tip for unaware players. Collision detection, drawing part list, so that puts a little check part list in my drawing, just so I can make sure that all the naming conventions right. Search parts, compare parts, steel positioning, and here's one here. I'll probably change the name of that a little bit, but group pos to shipping. It will move the position number of a group or copy it from the group into the part shipping number, allowing us to extract it later. So the main part will actually have the group pos number in it. A neat little trick. From there, deliverables, drawing info table, the APC center, unfold, center of gravity. So it's all structured in this workflow. Okay, I'm sure that I've probably forgotten something that you'll do or that you want to do, but just remember from here, just switch back out from APC config in your workflow, just switch back out to Steel, and your buttons will probably be in there that I've missed. Dimension linear, ProSteel dimension, they're different, okay? One's MicroStation, one's ProSteel for doing over shortening. Benchmark, that's MicroStation, cloud by points, cloud by like a square or a circle. Text, labels, elevations and welding. So hopefully I've got everything here for you. Batch part list, create part list element, okay, and create a database. So if you were doing it manually, you'd use those guys. Alright, the final thing is our exporting out. If you want to create pretty pictures, the ECS axes on and off, okay, so that we get a nice presentation, as well as IFC out and NC out. So, you know, printing will still be Control P if you want to do a 3D PDF and things like that. Right, that is our ribbons. I hope you like them. Okay, I've spent a fair bit of time. If you can't find something, come up here and type it. This is a new function for this version. I'm typing ACS there, and you can see here's all my commands. If I type something like line, there's everything to do with a line. Okay, that search tool is awesome while you're learning to kind of work in here. But remember, learn where things are, so you don't have to come up here and type all the time. Okay, but this is awesome. Learn to use that. AccuDraw is the same. Element selection is the same, but just a little bit prettier. Down the bottom, all of our sort of forward, backward keys, that's all the same. And our views are all the same. All I've done is I've bought the snaps out of the toolboxes. Remember, back in here, go to our toolboxes. I've brought the snaps in just because I like to be able to control the snaps from within here. So that's our user interface as far as the ribbons go. The next we've got to do is to talk about our pop-ups. And for that, I'm going to come to Steel initially. Alright, so this is the basic ProSteel interface. Now, if I were to press the comma, I will get, this is called a pop-up. And the pop-up gives me my menu. And different shortcut keys are going to give us different menus. Now, if you ever find yourself pressing one of the shortcut keys and the focal point comes up here, it's because your AccuDraw is currently live. You can see down the bottom here, AccuDraw is set with the focal point. So we can either hit the element selection button or escape, and you can see that the home now comes up, and now our pop-ups, like our pop-up shortcut keys, will work just fine. So you can see here that this one here has a lot of the menu buttons available to us for Steel. So this is a context menu for Steel. Concrete will have a different one, and I've also set a unique one for APC, which I'm going to show to you now. But just before I jump out of here, I just show you the MicroStation context menu. If I press the space bar, this is the MicroStation tool pop-up menu. Okay, so these are all pure MicroStation tools that are available to you. So if you were in the Steel menu or the Steel workflow, the backslash would give you ProSteel stuff, and space will give you the MicroStation stuff. Alright, so let's switch out to APC. Alright, now the backslash for Steel no longer works because it's used by Steel. The space bar for MicroStation still works. Here it is. And this is really good for MicroStation specific stuff like hatching and so forth. And don't forget that the comma also still brings up like the Steel master menu. Okay, but I've assigned the semicolon to the APC. So if you hit the semicolon, it will bring up the APC menu. And you can see it's huge, because what I've done is I've tried to incorporate everything for you. So it's sort of got a little bit of everything. In fact, it's got so much you'd almost be able to hide these ribbons away, I reckon. But it's sort of up to you. That was the idea, is everything was right at your cursor point all the time. So what we've got is element selection. I do have Explorer there, but element selection, and then on to placing a fence, modification tools and bits and pieces. Right, the top line here was fully intended to mimic Select Series 8 for those of you that are used to using the tasks out of Select Series 8. All of this stuff matches Select Series 8. The only thing that was different is Explorer's jammed in there as a second button. Moving down to the second line, we've got all of our Steel tools and stuff, and each little arrow gives you the expansion so that you can you don't need to go anywhere else. In theory, everything should sort of be here, that the tools that you're going to need for your day-to-day workflow. If your day-to-day workflow isn't here, you can still go back to your ribbons and get the one or two tools that are missing, but I hope that this has got the whole thing covered. Okay, so hopefully you know this does the job for us. You'll notice that the APC stuff isn't in here directly, so you'll probably still need to dart up and down for the APC stuff. Okay, I can add it. I might add it in version 2. I want to get some feedback back from the users with this first version. Okay, alright, but you can see that the whole workflow here is, it's just going to take you a little bit to get used to exactly where to go, but you need one button really, and that's the semicolon, and off you go with everything. All of your annotation stuff here, all your 2D stuff is here. On the last line, what I've given you is I've got some view tools here, so your isometric, your object view centered, your object ACS centered, and stuff like that. Regen is here. Hide, accept, you know, all of that sort of stuff, as well as I've thrown in a couple of MicroStation ones as well. So you've got your text tools, your dimensioning tools, and your line tools. And the idea with this, when I was sort of creating it, You can see here that it's got a bit of everything in there. Everything's here. You know, you shouldn't need to go anywhere else, I hope. So press the colon, I can see AccuDraw's just popped up there. If I come back to element selection or escape and then try it again, it'll work fine. What I've tried to do is I've gone line, so I've tried to do this as like for common tools. So element selection, measure, my error plane, and draw a construction line. We use them all the time, so I've put them on each corner. I've actually intentionally done this. So I hope this sort of makes sense. I hope it works for you. I do intend to improve on it. I just need a few people's feedback on sort of what works and what doesn't. And the nice thing is, no matter where your cursor is, that pop-up menu will follow your cursor around. So, you know, I press the colon here or up here. No matter where your cursor is, that's where your menu is. So I hope you like it. Alright, let's have a look at using it. So I'm just going to drop in a work frame, right click. Again, just like the old version. I have noticed that the dialogues do sometimes go under element selection. I'm not sure whether that's a bug yet. I'll just have to have a look at that. From here I can switch over to my still placement. Alright, everything should work the same, sort of pick, right click for rotate, so select, rotate, come out to exit out of that. Okay, putting in connections and bits and pieces, I can either come up here or I can use my colon, semicolon, okay, and run through here. It's going to take a little bit to get used to. All right, just be gentle with me. Use it for a little while and see how you go with it. But the general day-to-day workings of the program are exactly the same. I've just got to get you guys used to using the program again, as far as the user interface and where to go with things. Probably the only thing I do want to make note of is the previewing when we go to the 2D Detail Center. So if I pick the 2D Detail Center, so let's go context menu or the pop-up menu, and I'm going to go to 2D. And I'll just load and assign a detail style. Now this is a preliminary, this is still a beta on mine, which means I've got a lot more in here than I need to have at the moment. There's still a lot of Select Series 8 stuff that I haven't got rid of out of here yet. But let's just pop one in just for this example. So let's go isometric, that'll do. Open that and just assign one of these views. So let's go ISO view 1 onto here and let's preview it. Now for the Connect Edition, if I preview this, what it's going to do is it's going to bring up a view 8. Okay, so here's view 8. So if I pull this out and minimize this, that is my preview now. It's just out of the box, view 8 is full size. So I can actually make changes and do little bits and pieces in here with the preview still there. Okay, so just to give you an example, let's throw a different isometric on, just to I guess give you a bit of a look at this, and we can see what it's going to do. So I'll just go back and preview that one, and that will update. So I haven't fully experimented where it's going to go and sort of what are the full uses of that, but if I were to update the model in bits and pieces, it's probably going to need me to recreate the view or reload the view. But the interesting thing is I can edit detail styles and bits and pieces as I go. So I haven't fully explored where we're going to go, you know, how this is going to work with us, but I do like the fact that I'm not dropping in and out of the model all the time and things like that. Alright guys, well that's my wrap up on Connect Edition APC build. It'll be hopefully ready, well I mean by the time you watch this hopefully it'll be ready to go, but I'm really liking the Connect Edition, and I think it's head and shoulders above Select Series 8, so I hope you guys have a lot of fun with it. Thanks for watching.